All right. Hey, everybody, we're going to go ahead and go over some of chapter 4's other little lectures. And so let's go ahead and get into that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Screen share. There we go. All right. So the first piece we're going to do is Steinem's If Men Could Menstruate. And really, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. This is mostly a lighthearted, funny kind of piece, but it really gets at several valuable points. And she talks about the fact that if menstruation was masculine, that they'd call it enviable and boastworthy and a masculine event, that it would be something to strive for and that it would be something to be proud of as a something instead of something that was kind of towards the shadows and that we don't societally talk about in the ways that we should. And it's funny, but there's points here. There's points that there would be space, time, and consideration for menstruation if it was a male thing. There would be more options, products, and realistic advertising. Sorry. Shh, Bosco, no. Shh. No, sit. Can you take him elsewhere, please? That it would be a source of pride and that it would be a measure of power. And so that's really kind of the main points with that one. Again, this is supposed to be lighthearted. I hope you enjoyed it. And let's get to kind of the next one. So this is race, online space, and the feminine. So I wanted to kind of talk about real quick what thinspiration is and thinspro, which is kind of the two different terms for similar things. And essentially those were online platform spaces where they posted ideas or some of those kind of ideal body images and or goals that would get them towards what they aspired to be in the way of thinness, in the way of body presentation. And there was a connection here between whiteness and thinness. And what this author was trying to talk about is the connection of blackness or brownness with these racist ideas or stereotypes of full-bodied or as out of control and savagery. And the representations of Black women as the mammy and the sexual deviants, and how research can recreate and substantiate these bias and stereotypes. And she found 6 things when she studied specifically thinspiration that was intentionally geared towards Black bodies. And she found 6 different key things. And that was the belief that Black women do not have eating disorders that aim for thinness, that they are mostly indulging in too much food, or that thickness was more of the eating disorders that were inherent to Black women, that Black women don't want to be thin, that Black women were seeking approval of the male gaze or determining their body types based on what their men wanted, and that appreciation for Black thinspiration, the annoyance at the stereotype of full-bodied Black women, or that regular thinspiration did not represent Black women. And these were kind of the key points that she saw the Black women that were on these kind of fitnessy, these kind of specific spaces. And really what it gets at is that there's a diversity of understanding of what it means to be at that intersection of gender, body, and Blackness, and that's viable and legitimate, and that these themes create this much more diverse expectations instead of this homogenized idea of either the Black woman as the mammy, or which is kind of that idea of they're big and full and they're to think of this as like the person who took care of the kids willingly, the white kids willingly, and was kind of just around in the background, or was very much and or that of the sexual deviant, which is really that idea of that eroticized person outside of the US, or that like exoticness that can be attributed to the Blackness. Now, both of these are stereotypes and unrealistic and untrue, but those are how media depict Black women in a lot of ways. And that has consequences. And what this author really wanted to focus in on is that when we homogenize Black voices and Black bodies in this way, what we are creating is this racial, like this racial project where it's like only looking at only looking at Black female attitudes towards body in a very homogenous way. All right. And then the next one is the fat is still a feminist issue. And this, I really love this piece. It really gets into how capitalism is tied into the desire to be thin and or this ideal image. And it's claiming that this that we can really challenge the beauty norm by challenging who profits off the beauty norm, and how the internet. And she really she wrote this book a long time ago, and then this was really her updated in some of the things that she wanted to key in on. And then she really wanted to talk about how the internet had changed that battle for the new norm for better and worse. And again, in a lot of ways, there's a lot more representation as we have the internet, as we have the ability to Google, as we have the ability to find spaces with like people in different social media platforms. And that has created a much broader understanding of what the body can be. On the flip side of that, there's also still a vast majority of media and advertising that are geared towards the specific body type. And within several industries, that body type is presented as the ideal and the way to do this. And we're going to talk about a few of those. Well, I just listed a few of those, but we can talk about kind of the ways in which these industries profit off of that ideal image. You have the porn industry, which in and of itself is predominantly white, is predominantly young, is predominantly all of these things, right? And those are important. And kind of looking at and critiquing what it is that we are selling, what it is that we are putting out there for the world. And then you have cosmetic surgery apps. You have cosmetic surgery industry just in and of itself that is really working towards that idea of paying to create your body to look like that ideal norm, to look like a specific thing. You have smartphones and of course the lovely selfie that have created their own interest and their own ways of being, that. And then you have like, okay, sorry, my kids are here. Hold on 2 seconds. Kiddos, other room, because you are talking too much and I need to be able to focus. Okay. Sorry. This is what work-life balance looks like, right? And then you have things like the diet industry and the workout industry and that are very geared towards, look, you can be slimmer. Look, you can look like this. Look, you can do this. You can do this. Look at all these body transformations. They lost this much pounds on this diet. They lost this without even working out, all of these things, right? All these gimmicks to try to get people to pay money to get closer to that ideal body type. And this is, the fashion industry, again, has taken a lot of critiques over this in and of itself. And you're starting to see minuscule changes, but those changes do have a big impact, and they are very good for the industry overall. But we're still seeing that predominantly there is an excessive amount of overly thin, tall, not realistic body shapes, that even aren't realistic for the people that are carrying them, as that they do end up having some harmful self-body image issues within those people that work in that industry, along with a heavy link to drugs, a heavy link to eating disorders, things of that nature, too, in order to keep and maintain those very, very unrealistic body shapes. You also see big pharma, again, producing and mass producing a lot of dietary supplements, a lot of dietary products that may or may not be long-term healthy for the individual, or even used in a way that is successful for those people. And then again, I think the overarching theme of this is that the body is a political project. And by that, she really means that the body intersects with society's understanding of where we sit within a particular framework. And the body that we carry and how we affirm and or shape and or change that body in and of itself has political measure, has political clout, has power, has control. And so really shaping these things in this way kind of talks through why it's important to really question or look through or talk about our gaze within these different industries and what it means for what it means to be a feminist within these frameworks, within these industries, and what it means to be a feminist walking through the world where these industries consistently are putting back those images of what it is we are supposed to look like. And so that's all I'm going to put in this video. And then I think we have one more from this chapter and then a couple from chapter 3, and I will get into those here in a bit.